Go out on their own for the first time can be tough as well.
So there's new research out that shows why. This is an actual reason. The government data shows teenage drivers are eight times more likely to be in a crash in the first 3 months after getting their license. Dr. Mandira Nehra from SSM Health is here with more on that government data. Good morning. Good to see you.
Good morning. Nice to see you.
So it is, in full disclosure, my daughter is 11, so she's still a few years away, but this is, it's kind of intuitively what we knew, and yet to actually see it empirically proven is terrifying.
Of course, yep. And like you said, you know, at some point, every parent's job becomes that permanent chauffeur. And you're like, oh, I can't wait till they're independent and they drive, and then they start driving, and your insurance rates are going to skyrocket, your stress level is going to skyrocket, but for good reason. So this is a great study that showed that teenage drivers, while actually having their learner's permit and had some kind of guidance by their parents, did not really exhibit those risky behaviors, didn't really have those crashes or near crashes as much as when they actually started driving independently. When they started driving independently, all that good learning, all that good behavior when their parents were in the car kind of went out the window, unfortunately. So they were having more crashes, more near crashes, and riskier behavior.
And the fact is happening just in the first 3 months, too. So it's that initial kind of taste of freedom.
Exactly. The taste of freedom and then the lack of experience. It's like anything we do. It's that motor memory, that muscle memory that they don't have yet, you know? So it's navigating a new machine. It's the excitement of driving. It's perhaps the impulse behavior control that they don't have yet. So what was also interesting was they exhibited riskier behavior in good driving conditions. So at nighttime, during the rain, things like that, they actually drove more cautiously. It was really like after school and the sun is shining. These were the times they actually felt they could drive a little bit riskier.
Fascinating.
All right, well, the other thing we want to touch on is cyberbullying, and it's an issue that's not going away, and new research is out saying that there's more of an increased risk for teens. I mean, it's one of those things, social media, I think it's really taking off still.
Yeah, a lot of parents often ask me, Dr. Mehra, do I really have to be concerned about cyberbullying? I mean, isn't bullying bad enough? What is cyberbullying? Can it really harm my child if it's through technology, if it's through phones? Unfortunately, this is becoming a very, very real phenomenon. And we do want to remind parents to really touch base with their teenagers. What this showed is that the longer teenagers spent on social media, on apps, on things like Facebook or Instagram, Snapchat, it was actually a study of 12,000 teenagers in Europe. More than 2 hours, they ended up having a greater association of cyberbullying. So one thing you can do is check in with your teenager and say, well, how long are you truly spending on these apps? Some people think it's just exposure to the social media that may cause that. But it's not just the exposure, it's also the time.
I'd imagine, too, it's the thing you don't have to look at somebody when you're posting something on it. It's a lot easier to bully somebody online than it is in person.
Of course. And so the American Academy of Pediatrics has some great guidelines, some great helpful tips for parents. Some of them are, of course, checking in with your teenager, checking in and seeing what they're doing on social media. All the studies show that the more involved the parents are, the more involved even older peers are, the less likely they are to be experiencing things like that. It's much easier for teenagers, for even us as adults, to cyberbully someone if you're anonymous. And so that's the difference between bullying face-to-face versus cyberbullying, is it's anonymous. The other scary thing is that it can spread very fast. So, you know, you think of bullying as, oh, I was beat up at lunchtime. This is very different. This could be sharing an embarrassing picture, a video, something like that, and it spreads like wildfire. Your whole school knows about it. Definitely can have deleterious effects on the physical and mental health.
We want to help in this process as well. If you have any, if you want to have open conversations with your kids about cyberbullying, other mental health topics, through SSM Health, we've got resources and stories up on our Time to Talk page at channel3000.com/timeforkids. Dr. Mehra, good to see you as always.
Nice to see you.
Thank you. All right, this morning, Dane County voters may have